Alright, what is up everybody, and welcome back to the Progressive Skills and English Level 2 coursebook. In today's video we're going to be going over the reading section, fireworks, horses, and bulls. Okay, so let's hop right in. Here we have vocabulary for reading, Guy Fawkes Night. So exercise A, reviewing vocabulary. Let me open this. Here we have all the words below are connected with festivals. So all of these words that are not complete, by the way, are somehow connected with festivals. What is the full word in each case? So what do you guys think number one is? F-E-S. That's correct. It's festival. Festival. Okay? Festival. Literally the first word is the exact same minus the S. So festival. Okay? What's number two? Attend. That's correct. Okay? Attend. And then what's number three? We could say celebrate or celebration. Both are correct. Okay? And then we have four. This, you guys should know this one. This one's easy. That's right. Ceremony. Okay? And then we have number five. Ritual. Ritual. Okay? And then number six. Origin or origins, both are correct. So origin. Okay, and then we have number seven. I could say traditional or tradition. I'll just write down tradition. So tradition. And that was not tradition. That is. Okay, so tradition. Okay, you guys? Let me actually write down. There you go. Tradition. Okay? And what's number eight? We have relative. Relative. Right? And finally, number one, this one's obvious. Culture. Okay? So, festival, attend, celebrate, ceremony, ritual, origin, tradition, relative, and culture. Now let's move on to exercise B. Here we have understanding vocabulary in context. So let me open this so you guys can get a better view. Okay, so here we're gonna read a text about what to see and do in November, right? And then we're gonna find the meaning or the definitions of these words. So here we have the definitions down here, and we're gonna have to find the correct word that best fits these definitions, okay? So, I'd like for you to pause the video right now if you can and read the text on your own. I'd say solve this exercise on your own and then come back and check your answers. Okay? So here. What to see and do in November. If you visit England in November, you will see posters of firework and bonfire celebrations. Go to one of the events. They are great fun. Guy Fawkes Night is a traditional event in England. It started in 1607. 2 years earlier, a man called Guy Fawkes tried to destroy the Houses of Parliament in London. He was unsuccessful. Now, every year on 5th November, people celebrate his failure. One of the best celebrations takes place in Lewes, in the south of England. The event attracts about 70,000 visitors. There are 5 bonfire societies in the town. They compete to put on the best display. Each society has its own traditional customs. For weeks before the event, each society makes a figure of Guy Fawkes or another unpopular person. They decorate carts with the figures and other items. On the day of the event, many of the people from the town take part. They dress up like Guy Fawkes and other historical figures. In the evening, there is a big parade through the town. People carry flags in all the colors of the rainbow. Then the 5 separate bonfires are lit. After the bonfires, there are firework displays. Finally, people have something to eat, usually sausages and burgers these days. Okay, so that was the text. Now, here we have find words with these meanings. Okay, so what do you guys, obviously, from the text, do you think is a word that means try to be better than others? I would say compete. They compete. Okay, so A will be compete. Now let's go to B, before. Okay, so is there another word for before? What do you guys think? That's right, we have earlier. The word before can also be said as earlier, right? And then we have why you are unsuccessful, or not why, when you are unsuccessful. And let me take a look here. We'll probably say failure, right, you guys? So failure is when you are unsuccessful. Then we have D, simple happens. Happens, when something happens. What does happens mean? I'd say takes place, right? That's the word. So takes place. And then we have E, makes something more beautiful. And this one's really simple. Here we have decorate. So decorate makes something more beautiful. So decorate. Okay? And then we have F, join or do an activity. This one's simply take part, right? Take part means to join or to do an activity. So take part. Okay? And we have G, wear special clothes. I'd say dress up. Yeah, definitely dress up. Okay, so they dress up. So here we'll say dress up. Okay? And we have H, the past participle of the verb light. What do you guys think is the past participle of the verb light? This one took you a little off guard. So the past participle of the verb light is lit. Okay, you guys? So L-I-T, lit. And then we have I, brings people. What do you guys think? Is there a word that explains to bringing people together? Or bringing people in general? Yes, we have one. Here we have attracts. Okay, the event attracts. Alright, so brings people. So attracts. Alright, and then we have J, an advertisement on a large piece of paper. This one's simple. I'd say a poster. Yes, a poster. So you will see posters. A poster is an advertisement on a large piece of paper. So poster. Okay? So compete, earlier, failure, takes place, decorate, take part, dress up, lit, attracts, and poster. All of these from the text, by the way. Okay? Now let's keep going. Okay, I think we got all of these. Yeah, we just have the vocabulary box and then we'll go to the next page. So you guys know what to do. Let's start. Bonfire, display, figure, firework, historical, poster, rainbow. Okay, that was the vocab box. Now let's go to the next page. Here we have exercise A, activating ideas, real-time reading, the Paleo and Siena. So prepare to read the text opposite, so the text over here, and answer these questions. Where is the text from? Who is the text for? What is the text about? And what information do you expect to find in the text? Okay, let's talk a little bit about reading, alright, in general. So before reading, whether it's a novel, an article, a simple text, a paragraph, what you want to do is always take a look at the heading, right? So the heading and the subheading can give you a lot of information about what the rest of the text is going to be talking about, right? So use these, and also any illustrations that you see. So these pictures right here can give you a great idea of what the text is gonna or is talking about. Okay? So use illustrations, headings, and subheadings to predict the content, right? Predict what's gonna be said or the information that you're gonna see throughout the reading process. Okay? And then after that, like I said, you ask yourself these questions right here. So for example, Where is the text from? Who is the text for? What is the text about? And what information do you expect to find in the text? Obviously, each text can have different questions, but it's more or less really similar. Okay? So let's take a look here. Here we have great traditional events around the world. 1. The Palio in Siena. Siena is a city of around 56,000 people. It is situated in central Italy, 120 kilometers south of Florence and 200 kilometers northeast of Rome. It is built on a high hilltop. Okay, so that was the heading, that was the subheading. Now let's go back to the questions. Okay, so where is the text from, you guys? What do you think this text is from? And let's go a little bit lower. It doesn't seem to tell us, but based on using a little bit of logic, I'll probably say a tourist guide, right? Why else would they write it this way? So probably a tourist guide. Okay? And who is the text for? And this one's simple. Tourists, right? People that want to visit the place. And what is the text about? This one's really simple. Again, if you read it, you'll get it. Or not even read it, just read the heading and the subheading. It's about the Palio in Siena, and we'll get a little bit more in depth when we start reading the text. Okay, and then finally we have, what information do you expect to find in the text? And this one's going to be entirely up to you as a student, but for me personally, I'd say we'll find different details about the event. That's the Palio, right? So, for example, questions that include where, when, who, and what. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of these answers to these questions. Okay? Now, let's go to exercise B now, predicting content, and we talked about this a little bit and how that after reading the heading and the subheading and using illustrations to your advantage, you can predict the content, right? So let me open exercise B here. Here we have, read the topic sentences on the left below and read the sentences on the right below. Which paragraph do you think each sentence comes from? Okay, and in order to do this exercise, we're gonna have to read the text, okay? So focus up, or a better idea is to actually pause the video and read it by yourself. I'll read it again, okay? And after that, we'll solve the remaining exercises, okay? So here we go. Great traditional events around the world. The Palio in Siena. Siena is a city of around 56,000 people. It is situated in central Italy, 120 kilometers south of Florence, and 200 kilometers northeast of Rome. It is built on a high hilltop. Siena was once an important center for banking and for art. The Black Death of 1348, however, killed thousands of people. In some ways, the city never recovered. Siena is best known today for a horse race. It is as old as Siena. In other words, nearly 3,000 years old. It takes place on July 2nd and August 16th each year. The race is called the Palio. It is famous throughout the world. Thousands of visitors come to the city every year just to see it. For 3 days before the event, flags fly from houses and shops. The flags belong to the 7 contradas, or areas of the city. Young men from 10 of the contradas take part in each race. On the day of the event, the young men and women of the city dress up in colorful costumes from the Middle Ages. First, in the morning, they walk around the streets, looking like actors from a Shakespeare play. Then, in the late afternoon, there is a parade in the Piazza del Campo. This is the main square in the center of the city. After that, there is an exhibition of flag throwing, with lots of drumming. Finally, at exactly 7:30 p.m., the race begins. It only lasts 90 seconds. In that time, the horses and jockeys race 3 times around the piazza. After the race, the men and women from the winning contrada carry their flags through the city. Then there are special dinners in each contrada. The most special, of course, is in the restaurants of the winning contrada. Okay, so now that we read the text, now let's go back to exercise B and let's talk a little bit about these sentences and paragraphs. Okay, so we have an idea. You guys now know what Siena is and what was the word the paleo is. So let me open this one again. Here we have one. Siena was once an important center for banking and for art. What comes after, you guys? What happened? That's correct. The Black Death of 1348, however, killed thousands of people. Okay, so let's put that over here. Then we have Siena is best known today for a horse race. And then what happens? Thousands of visitors come to the city every year just to see it, right? And then we have number 3. For 3 days before the event, flags fly from houses and shops. And then what happens? The flags belong to the 7 contradas or areas of the city, okay? And then we have, on the day of the event, the young men and women of the city dress up in colorful costumes from the Middle Ages. And this one's already actually done. Here we have, then in the late afternoon there is a parade in the Piazza del Campo. Okay, so now let's go to the final one. Finally, at exactly 7:30 p.m. the race begins, and it only lasts 90 seconds. 90 seconds, okay? So these were, or this was predicting content, exercise B. Now let's move on. Here we have C, understanding a text. Okay, so read the text, we already did that, and find out the meaning of any new words. Okay, so probably a lot of you had at least, a couple words that didn't really make sense. So what I want you to do is, if you had any of these words, pause the video right now and go and research the words, right? Take a look, write them down, write the definitions down, okay? And then we're going to be answering these questions. So we have, where is Siena? And for that, I'll say, in central Italy, right? We just read that. And then we have, what is the paleo? And the paleo is simply a horse race, you guys. And why is that not a horse race? Okay, so what is the paleo? At first I didn't know what the paleo was, but now I know that it's a horse race. Okay, and when was the first ever race? And this one's simple. It's nearly 3,000 years ago. Okay, when was the first ever race? Nearly 3,000 years ago. Then 4, when does it take place? And for that, I'm guessing he wants the date, so we'll say on the 2nd of July, or July 2nd, right? Let me write that in capital. On July 2nd and the 16th of August, right? Let me write down some full stops. Okay, and then we have number 5. What sort of clothes do the people wear? And they wear, we'll say, customs from the Middle Ages, right? And then, when does the race start? And I think it starts at, we'll write down, why did it not write? At 7:30 p.m., right, you guys? So 7:30 p.m., okay? Then we have number 7. Where does it take place? And if I remember correctly, it takes place in the Piazza del Campo, or main piazza, or square. Both are correct. So we'll just write down the correct one. We'll just write down in the Piazza del Campo. Right, you guys? So in the Piazza del Campo. And then we have how many horses take part? And actually this one's really simple. 10 horses take part, so 10. How long is the race? The race is around 90 seconds. Yeah, 90 seconds, so we'll write down 90 seconds, okay? And finally we have when does it finish? And from, it finishes at around 7:31 p.m. because it does take around 90 seconds. So we'll say, just so you know, because we're not sure, it's not going to always be 90 seconds exact, so we'll say 7:31 and a half p.m., right? And then we'll write presumably, right? Presumably, no, that's not how I write it. Presumably, okay? So presumably here means depends. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. It depends on the race, okay? Now, let's move on. Here we have transferring information. Make a table of the important information about the paleo for visitors to Italy. Okay, so think of yourself or imagine yourself, having a bunch of tourist friends that want to visit Italy, specifically this place, and they want you to make a table of the important information that you know about the paleo, right? So how would you go about doing something like this? So make a table. I can't make one, so I'll have to do this orally. So I'll make a table. My best advice would be to make a simple table, right? And write all, you guys know some of the question words, so we'll write what, where, when, and then we'll write what time, okay? And for answers, for what, we'll say paleo equals horse race, right? Because paleo is a horse race. And then where is it? It's in Siena, central Italy, and it takes place in Piazza del Campo, okay? And when does the race start or not start? When is the race? It's on July 2nd and 16th August, okay? And what time does the race starts? I'll say it starts at 7:30 p.m. Okay, you guys? So that was the table. And here we have the vocabulary box. Let's get right in. Belong to, costume, exactly, famous, flag, fly, parade, raise, visitor. Okay, so that was the vocab box. Now let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, now let's move to the next page. Here we have 1.7, learning new reading skills, finding information quickly and predicting content using prepositions. Okay, so let's start with exercise A. Here we have reviewing vocabulary. So what do the underlined words mean in the sentences below from the text in lesson 1.6? So here we have obviously things that are still related to the text that we just read, and he wants to know what do the underlined words mean. So here we have number 1, the Black Death of 1348, however, killed thousands of people. So what does the Black Death mean here exactly? Okay, and I'm going to get a little bit off topic just for a second here. So the Black Death was the name of a bad illness. I'm talking a terrible illness that killed millions of people in Europe. And this illness is thought that, or is thought that it was a disease caused by fleas carried on rats. And there's a lot of information about the Black Death on the internet. If you guys are interested, you can always go and look it up just for fun. I mean, it's a pretty interesting disease, I would say. Okay? So, what does it mean here? It's a disease. Okay? So, the Black Death, it's a disease. Okay? Now, let's go to number 2. In some ways, the city never recovered. What does that mean? What does recovered here mean? So, because, I mean, a city does not feel pain, does it? So here, recovered means became important again, right? So in some ways, the city never became important again, okay? And then we have number 3. Young men from 10 of the contradas take part in each race. From 10 of the Contradas. What are contradas, you guys? We talked about this. Contradas are areas, right? So from 10 of the different areas take part in each race. Okay? Excuse me. And then we have the young men and women of the city dress up in colorful costumes from the Middle Age. Okay, or the Middle Ages. So what are the Middle Ages exactly? That's correct. They are a period in history, right? The Middle Age, the Stone Age, right? The New Age. All of these are periods throughout history. Then we have number 5. After that, there's an exhibition of flag throwing. Okay, so what does an exhibition mean, you guys? It means something to watch, right? So something to watch. So in this case, the race, for example, people celebrating, and you get to watch them. But for the most part, I think they were talking about, you know, the flags being thrown and the race in general. Okay. And finally, we have number 6. The horses and jockeys race 3 times around the piazza. And jockeys, what does it mean? What do you guys think? Just based on the sentence itself, look before and after the sentence, and you'll notice that there's only one logical, answer to this. And it's riders. So the horses and riders, the people that ride the horse, race 3 times around the piazza. Okay? So that was exercise A, reviewing vocabulary. Now let's go quickly to the vocab box. You guys know what to do. Doll, give thanks to, jockey, kill, medieval, neighborhood, opera, piazza, take part, the Middle Ages. Okay? Now let's go to exercise B. Let me open this. Okay, so read skills check 1. Which type of word in English always has capital letters? Okay, so skills check 1. Finding information quickly using capital letters. So all proper nouns in English, I think you guys know what proper nouns are. So for example, all proper nouns in English, like names, nationalities, places, months, etc., start with a capital letter, okay? So if you ever see a name, even if it's in the middle of a sentence, you write it in capital, okay? Capital letter. Nationality, same thing. Places, months, years, okay? All names, nationalities, all of this starts with a capital letter, okay? So here, for example, we have Siena. It's the name of a city, so capital S. July, the name of a month, capital J. Shakespeare, the name of a person, so S capital, okay? And something a little bit different here. Proper nouns often give you the answers to research questions, okay? So now what do we have? Find and underline all the proper nouns in the text in lesson 1.6. Okay, so I know that we just read this, but now we're going to be reading it again, but this time we're going to be underlining the proper nouns as we go. Okay? So the paleo in Siena, obviously Pielo in Siena. Okay? And we have Siena. You guys will see me underline. I might not stop that much, okay? So Siena is a city of around 56,000 people. It is situated in central Italy. Okay? So Italy, of course. 120 kilometers south of Florence as well, okay, and 200 kilometers northeast of Rome, okay. It is built on a high hilltop. Siena was once an important center for banking and for art. The Black Death of 1348, however, killed thousands of people. In some ways, the city never recovered. Siena is best known today for a horse race, right? It is as old as Siena. In other words, nearly 3,000 years old. It takes place on 2nd July and 16th August each year. The race is called the Paleo. It is famous throughout the world. Visitors, or I should say thousands of visitors. Give me a second here. Okay, Sorry about that. Thousands of visitors come to the city every year just to see it. For 3 days before the event, flags fly from houses and shops. The flags belong to the 17 contradas, or areas of the city. Young men from 10 of the contradas take part in each race. Okay? On the day of the event, the young men and women of the city dress up in colorful costumes from the Middle Ages. Okay? That's a name. First, in the morning, they walk around the streets looking like actors from a Shakespeare play. Then, in the late afternoon, there is a parade in the Piazza del Campo. Okay? This is the main square in the center of the city. After that, there's an exhibition of flag throwing with lots of drumming. Finally, at exactly 7:30 p.m., the race begins. It only lasts 90 seconds. In that time, the horses and jockeys race 3 times around the piazza. After the race, the men and women from the winning contrada carry their flags through the city. Then there are special dinners in each contrada. The most special, of course, is in the restaurant of the winning contrada. Okay? So these were the pronouns, okay, and the capital letters in each of them. Okay? Remember, I didn't say take each word that says a capital letter. No, I said proper nouns. Okay? So for the people wondering why I didn't choose, for example, the word on or finally, no. Okay? Now you know why. Okay, let's move on. Here we have exercise C, identifying a new skill 2. Let's take a look. Here we have prepositions, predicting content using prepositions. So prepositions often prepare the reader for the type of information that will come next. So for example, the city is built on, so on is the preposition, a hill, a river, the coast, okay? Or I could say the city was built in, also a preposition, a date, a period of time, or a period of history. The city is situated in a part of a country. The city is known for a person, a product, an event. Or I could also say the city is south of a city, right? Or a feature. So for example, a lake, a sea, a river, right? And finally, the city is a center for, also a preposition, an industry, the arts, or food. Okay? So now that we know some of the prepositions here, let's study the phrases below. What type of information do you expect to read next? Okay, so here we have some phrases, and we have some information down here. So, an opera, modern sculpture, 50,000, the neighborhood, 160 kilometers per hour, silver tiaras, the president, and Krishna, and medieval costumes. Okay, so these are some information. Now let's start with one. So the girl put on, what do you guys think? I would think that some kind of clothes, because he said the girls put on, so I'll choose silver tiaras. Okay? It's a type of clothing, by the way. Now we have B. The people dress up in, so I'll probably think some kind of special costume or clothes, so I'd say medieval costumes. Where do we have it? Yep, right here. So medieval costumes. And then we have the town has a population of, and a population means we're going to say a number, so only logical that we take 50,000 and put it here. So the town has a population of 50,000. Okay? The people take part in, probably a performance, so some kind of performance, and opera. Okay, so the people take part in an opera. Then we have the doll looks like. So if I say the doll looks like, what do I expect? I expect the doll to look like a person or perhaps an animal. So I'd say the president, right? Because the president is a person and the doll may look like him. The young people of probably a particular area or a town maybe, so we can say the neighborhood, right you guys? So the young people of the neighborhood. I went to an exhibition of, okay, exhibition of probably some kind of art, right? Exhibition is usually related to art, so we'll probably say modern sculpture. Alright? And finally we have the car reached speeds of, and obviously talking about speed, we're going to use number and kilometers per hour or miles per hour. So in this case, 160 kilometers per hour. And finally we have the people give thanks to, probably a god or whatever they believe in, or just simply a particular god. So in this case, Krishna. Okay? So yeah, that was exercise C. Now let's keep going. Anything else here? Nope. So let's go to exercise D, identifying a new skill 3. Let's go to skills check 3, recognizing extra information. So we have, there is often extra information in a sentence about the complement or the object, right? So examples, Siena is a city of around 56,000 people, right? This is extra information, right, about the complement or the object. They decorate the cards with figures, okay? So now he wants us to find the complement object and then find any extra information after that. So here we have number 1, it's done for us, so divide each sentence in this text with S, V, C, and E. Obviously, E stands for extra information, okay? C stands for complement, V is for verb, and S is for subject, okay? So let's try this. So Venice is a city of around 3,000 people. So Venice is the subject, is obviously the verb, complement is a city, and extra information about the complement is of around 300,000 people. Alright, now let's go to B. Venice was once an important center for trade. Okay, so Venice is the subject, was verb, complement an important center, and extra information for trade. Okay, that's how you do it. Okay, so now we have every year in September there are boat races in the city. Now check this out. Every year in September is actually extra information before the subject. Okay, so it's not necessarily gonna always be at the end of the subject. I'm talking about extra information. Extra information could also be found before the subject. So in this case, every year in September, mark that down as E. There is the subject, verb are, boat races complement, and finally in the city, again, extra information about the complement. Okay, so you have extra information before the subject and extra information about the complement, or right after the complement. Okay, again, on the day there is a parade along the Grand Canal. So on the day, extra information before the subject, there, S, subject, is verb, a parade, complement, and along the Grand Canal is extra information about the complement. Okay, now let's go to 6. The first race is for children from different areas of the city. So the first race, that's the subject, is verb, for children, complement, from different areas of the city is extra information about the complement. Okay? Now we have 7. Then, comma, there are races for men and women from the areas. So then is actually extra information before the subject. There is the subject, are is the verb, races is the complement, and for men and women from the areas is the extra information about the complement. I hope you guys are now able to get the hang of it. You know what I mean? So we have the final one, 8. After the races, there are big dinners in each of the areas. So after the races, right, extra information before the subject, there, again, subject, excuse me, are, verb, big dinners, complement, and in each of the areas is extra information about the complement. Okay? So that was exercise D, recognizing extra information either before the subject or about the complement. Now let's practice. Let me open exercise E for you guys here. Okay, so for firework and bonfire celebrations, we'll probably say posters, right, you guys? Advertisements, so posters for firework and bonfire celebrations. And then we have 2 of Guy Fawkes or another unpopular person. We can say, a traditional event, right? So let me go down here. A traditional event. Okay? 3 dash in England. What was it that Guy Fawkes wanted to destroy? Right, the Houses of Parliament. So let me write that in capital, Houses of Parliament. Okay? And that is not how it's done. Parliament. Okay? So the Houses of Parliament in England. And then we have 4 dash with the figures and other items. And for that we'll say, you guys remember Lewis? That's one. So Lewis with the figures and other items. 5 dash in London, right? And for that, you guys remember the bonfire societies, right? So 5 bonfire societies in London. And I wrote that wrong. Societies in London. Okay? Then we have number 6, dash and other historical figures. So simple, a figure and other historical figures. Okay? And then we have number 7, dash, what is this? Dash in the south of England. So carts, yeah, carts. Carts can work just fine. So carts in the south of England. And then we have 8, dash through the town, Guy Fawkes. You guys remember? Guy Fawkes. Okay, through the town. Then we have 9, dash in the town. We'll probably say a big parade. So big parade in the town. And finally, number 10, dash in all the colors of rainbow. We'll say flags. Or you guys remember the flags? So flags in all the colors of rainbow. Okay? So that was exercise E, practicing a new skill. Now let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, now let's move to the next page. Here we have 1.8, applying new reading skills, bull racing and ballet. So exercise A here, reviewing vocabulary. Let me open this so you guys can get a better look. Okay, so here we have all the words below might appear in a tourist guide about Bali, right? So in a tourist guide about Bali, you can expect to see these words in the text. So let's try and complete them together. What do you guys think is number 1? That's correct. It's island, right? So island. I don't say Iceland, you guys, okay? Island, okay? So you'll probably see island a lot. Let me get rid of the D. Island a lot in a tourist guide, okay? And then this is really simple. This is coast, or I should say coast, yes. So coast. Then 3, population. Okay, so population. 4, agriculture. Okay, agricultural. And then we have 5, capital. Okay, so capital. And then 6, 6 can be probably attract. Okay, so attract. Let me get rid of that T. Attract. Then number 7, we have visitor. And number 8, we'll say event, right? Event. And number 9, we have harvest. Okay, we'll go into more detail about these words once we actually read the text. Okay, so harvest. And finally, we have 10, decorate, right? Decorate. So island, coast, population, agricultural, capital, attract, visitor, event, harvest, and decorate. Okay? So that was a simple vocabulary or reviewing vocabulary exercise. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into exercise B. Here we have preparing or prepare to read the text opposite. So we're going to read this in a minute. Read the text, make notes of the key information, use for example, where, when, what, and remember to always look for capital letters for proper nouns. Okay, these can help tremendously. Information after prepositions, like we talked about in the previous pages, and check for any extra information about the object or complement. You guys remember the extra information that we talked about? These can also be of tremendous help. Okay, so now let's read. Here we have great traditional events around the world to bull racing in Bali. Bali is a small island in Indonesia. On the western coast of the island, there is a town called Negara. It has a population of around 34,000. The area around Negara is agricultural. They grow coconuts and bananas there. It is about 50 kilometers west of the capital, Denpasar. Bali is a populated tourist island, but for most of the year very few people go to Negara. However, in late summer, the area attracts many visitors. Why? Because every 2 weeks in September and October, there is a very unusual event. The young men of Negara race bulls. The event began about 100 years ago. Nobody is really sure about the origins of the event. Perhaps it was part of a festival giving thanks to God for a successful harvest. The bulls are not ordinary farm animals. They are special water buffalo. People choose them for their speed and their color. Their only job is racing. Each jockey has 2 bulls and a chariot or small cart. On the day, the jockeys prepare for the race. First, they decorate their chariots with flags and ribbons. Then they connect the two bulls together. After that, they tie the pairs to the chariots. Finally, they mount the chariots and take hold of the tails of the bulls. The race starts. The jockeys use the tails to steer the animals during the race. They run for 2 kilometers, downhill. Sometimes over 40 chariots take part. The bulls reach speeds of 50 kilometers per hour. It is a peculiar race. The bulls do not all run at the same time, so it is very difficult for spectators to know the winner, but it is certainly very exciting. Okay, so that was the text. Now let's go to exercise C. Now before we do that, let's actually just quick vocab box, you guys. Okay, so bull, chariot, coconut, connect, mount, peculiar, ribbon, spectator, and steer. Okay, now let's go to exercise C here. Understanding new words in context. So find each word below in the text and work out the part of speech. What does the word mean? Okay, so coconut. So what do you guys think coconut is? So is coconut a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? What is it exactly? That's correct. It's a noun, so N. Okay? And coconut, this one's really simple. It's, we'll say, kind of fruit, right? And then we have buffalo, also a noun, and kind of animal, or I could say bull as well, so kind of animal slash bull. And then we have chariot, okay? Again, noun. And what does chariot mean, you guys? I noticed it a lot throughout the text, so what does it mean exactly? A chariot is a kind of cart, right? It's a little bit of on the smaller side. It's a small cart, okay? So we'll say kind of cart. And then we have ribbon. So what is a ribbon? Again, by the way, noun. And it's something to decorate with, okay? That's a ribbon. So something, let me write that down, to decorate with. And then we have connect. Okay, what does connect mean, you guys? First of all, it's a verb, so not a noun. And connect means to put together. Okay, so connect means to put together. Then we have 6, mount. Mount is also a verb, by the way. So verbs, action words, means get on. Okay, mount means get on. 7, tail. Tail is a noun, okay? And it's part of an animal, okay? And we have number 8, steer. Steer is a verb, by the way. Steer, move in a direction or in the correct direction. So we'll say move in the correct direction. Right? And finally, or not finally, we have 9, peculiar. Now this one's an adjective. Peculiar is a describing word, okay? So write ADJ, adjective, peculiar, and peculiar here means strange, okay? So peculiar, adjective, means strange. And finally, we have spectator, and spectator is a noun, and it means a person watching. So we'll say person or people watching. Okay? So that was exercise C. Now, let's go to exercise D, developing critical thinking. Now, this will, I want you guys to think a little bit now so we can develop that critical thinking. Which of the following types of tourists would enjoy the Ballet event, and explain your answers. So you have 3 choices. Families with young children, teenagers, and retired people. Okay, so this obviously will depend on you as a student, but for me, I would say that this event is not so good for families with young children, just because, you know, the young children might get scared. Some children might love it, some children might hate it and be scared the whole time. So, you know, young children can be a hit or miss. I mean, have you guys ever been on a plane with a young child? I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. Anyway, so it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss with young children. So I would say families with young children is a no-go. Teenagers, however, might really appreciate and enjoy watching bulls race, right? And for retired people, I would say, yeah, it's you know, it can be pretty fun to just watch from afar, have some fun, right? And have good scenery as well. Okay? What else could we add? Okay, what do you guys think about a honeymoon couple? So for example, if 2 people are on a honeymoon, right? And would you recommend this tourist place? Personally, I mean, I would. Yeah, it's a different experience, and yeah, I think it'll be cool for the honeymoon couple. What about a group of school children, you guys? What do you guys think? That's definitely a no from me. I don't know about you, but I don't think, like I said, it's a hit or miss with children. They might not like it, they might hate it, and yeah, it turns into a disaster. So, one last question now. Okay, so would you guys personally go to this place, and why? So again, this will be, or explain your answer. For me, I would not go, and just because, you know, why? That's because I think that animals should not be abused, right? And I think that in order for animals to race or compete in general, they have to go through intense training, just like horses or horse racing, like we read a couple pages ago. So I don't like watching animals get beaten up or abused, so I don't like races or any of these places that use animals for humans' entertainment. Yeah, so that's why I would not go to this place. Explain your answer below and let me know in the comments. Alright, so that was reading. Now, there's no more, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.